Hey everyone, mathMinutes here. This episode's all about the fascinating world of fractions and how to add and subtract them. So if you've ever found fractions confusing, don't worry, because by the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of addition and subtraction with fractions. Right, first things first, let's quickly recap what fractions are. A fraction is a way to represent parts of a whole. Imagine a pizza. Each slice is a fraction of the entire pizza. Now, suppose we have the fraction 1/3. The number above the line is the numerator, which tells us how many parts we have, and below the line is the denominator, which tells us how many equal parts the whole is divided into. In our example, the numerator is 1, so we have 1 part, and the denominator is 3, so there are 3 equal parts that make up the whole. Okay, now let's tackle addition with fractions. When the denominators are the same, adding fractions is as easy as adding the numerators. For instance, if you want to add 1/4 and 2/4, since the denominators are the same, you simply add the numerators to get 3/4. We can look at this visually. But what if the denominators are different? That's when we need to find a common denominator. A common denominator is a number that both denominators can divide into without a remainder. Let's say we want to add 1/3 and 1/6. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 6 is 6, so we can use this as the common denominator. We adjust both fractions to have the same denominator, so we multiply both the numerator and denominator of 1/3 by 2 to get 2/6. Once we have the same denominators, we simply add the numerators together while keeping the denominator unchanged. 2/6 plus 1/6 equals 3/6. Don't forget to simplify the fraction if needed. 3/6 simplifies to 1/2. Subtraction works similarly to addition. If the denominators are the same, subtract the numerators. For example, 7/8 minus 5/8 equals 2/8, which simplifies to 1/4. Let's look at this visually. When the denominators are different for subtraction, you still need a common denominator. Let's subtract 1/5 from 2/3. The common denominator is 15. Adjusting the fractions, we have 10/15 and 3/15. With matching denominators, subtract the numerators while keeping the denominator constant. And remember, simplify your fraction if possible. 10/15 minus 3/15, which equals 7/15. Perfect! Now let's practice what we've learned with another example. Work out 2/3 plus 1/6 minus 1/2. See if you can solve this yourself and pause the video here before we go through the example. Remember to give your answer in its simplest form. Done? Okay, let's go through the steps. First, we find a common denominator. We can simply multiply the denominators of all 3 fractions together, but this would mean dealing with large numbers and making things more complicated for ourselves. Instead, as before, it's better to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators 2, 3 and 6, which we find to be 6. We adjust all 3 fractions to have the same denominator, so we multiply both the numerator and denominator of 2/3 by 2 to get 4/6. We multiply the numerator and denominator of 1/6 by 1, and we multiply both the numerator and denominator of 1/2 by 3 to get 3/6. Once we have the same denominators, we simply add and subtract the numerators while keeping the denominator unchanged. 4/6 plus 1/6 minus 3/6 equals 4 plus 1 minus 3/6, which equals 2/6. Don't forget to simplify the fraction. 2/6 simplifies to 1/3. Okay, let's move on to adding and subtracting mixed numbers. The method that we'll use is to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions, and then add or subtract using a common denominator as we have done so far. Let's demonstrate this with an example. Let's work out 1 3/4 plus 3 1/2. First, we write the mixed numbers as improper fractions. For 1 3/4, we see that the denominator of the fraction part is 4. So we write the number part as 1 equals 4 over 4. Then 1 3/4 equals 4 over 4 plus 3 over 4, which equals 7 over 4. Similarly, for 3 1/2, the denominator of the fraction part is 2. So we write the number part as 3 equals 6 over 2. Then we can write 3 1/2 as 6 over 2 plus 1 over 2, which equals 7 over 2. The next step is to rewrite the improper fractions with a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 4 is 4, so we adjust the fractions accordingly. We multiply both the numerator and denominator of 7 over 2 by 2 to get 14 over 4. Now that we have the same denominators, we simply add the numerators while keeping the denominator unchanged. 7 over 4 plus 14 over 4 equals 21 over 4. We can give our answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. 21 over 4 equals 20 over 4 plus 1 over 4, which equals 5 1/4. The key with both adding and subtracting fractions is to make sure the denominators are the same. If they're not, we need to find a common denominator by multiplying the denominators together. The first step is to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators of the fractions we're considering. We can then rewrite each fraction as an equivalent fraction with this same denominator. At this point, it's a simple case of adding or subtracting the numerators. Remember, keep your work neat and organized and simplify your final fraction if you can. And there you have it, peeps. Adding and subtracting fractions is all about manipulating the numerators while keeping those denominators in check. Remember, practice makes perfect, so go ahead and solve some fraction puzzles to master this skill. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more math tips and tricks. Until next time, happy fractions!